The shattered moonlight pierced through the pitch-black sky, casting shimmering beams over the forest, where the frantic echo of galloping hooves resounded like a harbinger of doom. Anna darted out of the house, her breath shallow and rapid, blending with the sharp whistle of the wind cutting through the trees. She paid no attention to the bone-chilling cold or the tremors racing down her spine. All she knew was that Stellan had vanished, and the darkness around her seemed to devour every possible answer. The barn. The door swung wide, its hinges groaning in protest as the wind played with it. Inside, everything lay empty and cold, as if life itself had been wiped from the space. Anna's scream shattered the silence, only to be consumed by the oppressive void. The faint hoofprints in the damp soil outside led directly into the distant forest. She knew she had to follow yet, with each step fear coiled tighter around her like an unseen force. As she ventured deeper into the woods, the atmosphere thickened with an unsettling presence. Light from her lantern dimmed beneath the oppressive weight of the encroaching darkness. The wind howled in steady bursts, carrying the rustle of leaves that sounded eerily like whispers from lost souls. Then suddenly, a distant whinny broke the heavy silence. It was faint, but unmistakable. A surge of determination gripped Anna, propelling her forward as muddy water splashed against the hem of her coat. "Stellan, where are you?" she cried out, her voice cracking under the weight of her growing desperation. She finally reached a small clearing where moonlight trickled through the canopy, forming an otherworldly glow. There she saw him, Stellan standing utterly still, but he was not alone. Beside the horse stood a figure tall and motionless, with their back turned to her. They stood like a statue, commanding and eerie, as if waiting for something or someone. Anna froze, her heart pounding so fiercely she thought it might burst. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling, yet carrying a thin edge of defiance. The figure slowly turned. Dim moonlight revealed a man's face, his features pale and almost spectral under its glow. His eyes gleamed unnaturally bright, locking onto hers with an intensity that felt as though he could unravel her every thought. He said nothing at first, only raising a hand to gently stroke Stell's mane, a gesture that felt both intimate and unsettlingly possessive. "You shouldn't be here, Anna." His voice rumbled deep and icy, as though he had known her forever. In that moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Anna felt her legs, cemented in place. Her mind screamed questions that her mouth couldn't form, but only one thought echoed louder than the rest. How does he know my name? The dim glow of the lantern in Anna's trembling hand failed to pierce through the suffocating darkness of the forest. Her heart pounded relentlessly, and the memory of the strange man's eyes, those unsettling, knowing eyes, refused to leave her mind. The way he had called her name as though he had known her for years sent a shiver down her spine. Her breathing grew heavier as her feet. She was drawn back toward the farm, yet her return was not for rest. Something within her stirred a consuming obsession, a feeling that the tale of Stellan and the enigmatic man had roots deeper than today, entwined with a past she had yet to uncover. As Anna entered the barn, the cold air enveloped her heavy and stifling. She settled into the worn wooden chair in the corner, her hands quaking as she placed the lantern on the dirt floor. Her gaze drifted aimlessly until it fixed upon the wall where Lucas stored his tools. Gear for Stella hung there, unnoticed until now. A small wooden box that seemed so ordinary, yet its presence felt almost deliberate, as if it had been waiting for her. Anna stood and moved toward it, her hands shaking as she opened the lid. Inside lay a bundle of yellowed papers, their edges worn and their scent a mix of old ink and decaying wood. her eyes fixed on the first letter at the top of the stack. The handwriting was faded but legible enough to read. To Evelyn, if you're reading this, please keep your promise to protect Stellan and never let Lucas find out the truth. The signature below sent a chill through Anna's entire body. Clara, the name meant nothing to her, but its weight hung heavy in the air. Lucas had never mentioned anyone named Clara. Questions began to flood Anna's mind. Who was Clara, and what truth was Lucas not supposed to uncover? Anna leafed through the other letters, each one steeped in an increasing sense of dread. Clara's words painted a portrait of Lucas that was both mesmerizing and terrifying, a man she both loved and feared. One passage in particular sent Anna's pulse racing. Lucas is not who you think he is. Evelyn, he has two faces. One is the charming gentleman who promises you the world, but the other is a shadow you can't escape. If I speak out, he swears he will take everything from me, even Stellan. Anna's throat tightened. This wasn't just some ordinary love triangle. Lucas had been hiding something dark beneath his composed exterior. Clara had clearly loved him, but their relationship was far from normal. It was dangerous, threatening, and perhaps culminating in Clara's disappearance. She rose to her feet, clutching the letters tightly in her hand, her mind a whirlwind of questions. Evelyn, she had to know something. Clara had entrusted these letters to Evelyn. Why had Evelyn never mentioned Clara? And why had she kept this a secret? Without a second thought, Anna sprinted toward Evelyn's small house not far from the barn. The house was cloaked in darkness, save for the faint glow of light seeping through a crack in the door. She banged on the door, her heart racing. Desperation eclipsed all reason as the door creaked open, unveiling Evelyn's weary yet piercing gaze. "Anna, what's going on?" she inquired, her voice laced with bewilderment. But before another word could escape her lips, Anna thrust the pile of letters before her. "You've been hiding this from me," Anna declared, her voice quaking with a blend of fury and fear. "Clara, who is she, and what does Lucas have to do with this?" Evelyn stood frozen, her eyes locked onto the letters, as if they bore a dreadful curse, her silence speaking volumes. Immediately stepped back and gestured for Anna to enter. Once seated at the kitchen table, Evelyn released a long, heavy sigh, her gaze wandering into the distance as if she were grasping for memories long buried. "Clara," she began, her voice low and deliberate, "was Lucas's former lover. She had lived on this farm long before you arrived. Lucas once claimed she was the only woman he had ever truly loved." Evelyn paused, her expression contorting with pain, but it wasn't that simple. Clara wanted to leave him. Anna uncovered a secret about him, something Lucas had desperately tried to keep hidden. What could it be? Her heart raced as she leaned in closer. Evelyn met Anna's gaze, her face etched with concern. "I can't say for sure," she admitted, "but I do know that Clara vanished the night she confided in me about her plans to escape. Lucas insisted she left of her own accord, but I find that hard to believe. I overheard their argument that evening, and by dawn she was gone." A shiver coursed through Anna, as if a frigid breeze had swept into the room. Why did Clara mention that Lucas would take everything, even Stellan? Evelyn shook her head. "I don't know, but Clara loved that horse more than anything. Stellan was the only reason she stayed here as long as she did. I think Stellan knows more than we realize." Anna stared at Evelyn, her mind spinning with more questions than answers. Clara's disappearance, Lucas's dark secrets, and now this strange implication that Stellan was somehow at the center of it all. Nothing made sense, and yet it all felt connected. "I don't know what to do, Anna," admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Everything I thought I knew about Lucas, it's all a lie." Evelyn reached across the table, her eyes softer now, but still shadowed with sorrow. Anna, I don't have all the answers, but one thing is clear. Lucas isn't who you think he is, and Clara paid the price for trying to uncover the truth. Be careful. Whatever you decide to do next, be very careful. The faint glow of the lantern in Anna's trembling hand couldn't dispel the oppressive darkness engulfing the forest. Her heart still pounded relentlessly as she replayed the haunting image of the man's eyes, those strange all-knowing eyes, and the way he had called her name as though they had shared a history she couldn't remember. Her breath grew heavier with every step back toward the farm, but she wasn't returning to rest. Something inside her stirred a gnawing suspicion that the story of Stellan the mysterious man, and now Evelyn, wasn't confined to the present. It was tied to a past she had never been told. As Anna stepped into the barn, the air felt colder and heavier than it had before, as if the very space held its breath. She settled into an old wooden chair in the corner, her hands trembling as she set the lantern down on the dirt floor. Her gaze wandered aimlessly until it landed on the wall where Lucas stored his tools for Stellan. Amidst the clutter, a small wooden box caught her attention, one she had never noticed before. Its unassuming presence now seemed almost intentional, as if it had been patiently awaiting her discovery. She rose, drawn toward the box with a sense of purpose. Hesitant steps echoed as her hands trembled, lifting the lid to unveil a bundle of aged papers, their edges yellowed with time, and a faint scent of old ink mingling with decaying wood. The first letter drew her gaze. Its handwriting was faint, yet legible enough to decipher. To Evelyn, if you're reading this, please keep your promise, protect Stellan, and never let Lucas uncover the truth. The signature at the bottom sent a jolt through Anna's chest, Clara. The name was unfamiliar, yet it bore an inexplicable weight, a shadow of something unspoken lingering in the air like a forgotten memory. Lucas had never mentioned anyone named Clara. Questions erupted in her mind like a flood. Who was Clara, and what truth was Lucas forbidden to know? Anna flipped through the other letters, each one growing more frantic, their words steeped in unease. Clara's descriptions of Lucas were both adoring and unnervingly fearful. One passage made Anna's breath catch. Lucas isn't who you think he is, Evelyn. He has two faces. One is kind, charming, and full of promises, but the other is a shadow you can't escape. If I speak out, he swears it would strip away everything, even as Stella's throat constricted, and a shiver coursed through her. This was no ordinary love story gone awry. Lucas concealed a darkness beneath his refined facade. Clara's affection for him was evident, yet their bond had been fraught with peril, threatening, and tumultuous, culminating in Clara's vanishing. She gripped the letters more tightly, her thoughts spiraling with questions that loomed too large to contain. Evelyn must possess some knowledge. Clara had placed her trust in her. Evelyn. With these letters, why had she never spoken of her? Why had she hidden this? Anna didn't wait another moment. She sprinted toward Evelyn's small cottage, its silhouette barely visible in the darkness. As she approached, a dim light peeked through the curtains, a sign that Evelyn was still awake. Anna pounded on the door urgency, overriding her sense of decorum. The door creaked open, and Evelyn appeared, her face weary but her eyes sharp. Anna, what are you doing here? Evelyn's voice was steady but laced with concern. Curiosity surged within her as Anna, without a moment's hesitation, thrust the bundle of letters forward. "You've been hiding this from me," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with a blend of anger and desperation. "Clara, who is she, and why does Lucas have anything to do with this?" Evelyn froze, her gaze fixed on the letters, as if they were a curse made manifest. She remained silent for a moment, stepping back and gesturing for Anna to enter. Once seated at the kitchen table, Evelyn released a long, shaky sigh. Her eyes wandered to a distant place, as if sifting through the layers of memories tucked away in the depths of her mind. Clara Evelyn, began, her voice thick with regret. Once, she had been Lucas's lover, residing on this farm long before your arrival. Lucas had claimed she was the only woman he ever truly loved. Evelyn hesitated, her gaze suddenly locking onto Anna's, her expression a blend of fear and determination. "I don't know the entire truth," she admitted, "but I do know this Clara vanished the night she confided in me about leaving Lucas. She asserted that she departed of her own accord, yet doubt gnawed at me. I had overheard their quarrel that night, and by dawn she had vanished." The atmosphere turned frigid as Evelyn's words enveloped them. Anna felt a chill creep across her skin, a harbinger of unease. And Stellan? Why would Clara claim that Lucas would take everything, even Stellan? Evelyn shook her head, her lips pressed into a thin line. "I don't know, but Clara cherished that horse above all else. He was her anchor, the sole reason she lingered here. As long as she remained, I suspect Stellan knows more than we do." Anna sat in silence, her thoughts swirling like a tempest. Clara's disappearance, Lucas's hidden truths, and now this unsettling notion that Stellan was somehow at the heart of it all. Nothing seemed to fit, yet everything felt inextricably linked. Evelyn's voice pierced through Anna's tumultuous mind. "Be careful, Anna. Lucas isn't the man you think he is, and Clara, she paid the price for seeking the truth." With a heavy heart and a racing mind, Anna left the cottage clutching the letters as she made her way back toward the house. The wind howled through the trees, a haunting warning as she arrived. Something was off. The front door stood ajar, despite her clear memory of locking it. A faint light flickered in the living room, casting eerie shadows across the walls. "Lucas!" Anna called out, her voice trembling. Silence answered her. She stepped inside, her footsteps echoing in the unnerving stillness. The living room remained untouched, save for one glaring detail. Lucas's laptop was missing. Anna's heart sank as she hurried upstairs to the bedroom. Empty. Lucas was gone, and everything about the house felt wrong, as though it had been abandoned in haste. A creeping unease settled over her as she realized Lucas wasn't just absent, he was running. But from what or from whom? Before Anna could process her thoughts, a faint rustling sound came from outside near the back of the house. Her breath caught in her throat as she grabbed a flashlight from the table and moved toward the back door. She opened it slowly, the cold night air biting at her skin. "Is someone there?" she called out, but the only answer was silence. Just as she was about to step back inside, a faint light flickered deep within the forest. It was distant but unmistakable, pulsing like a beacon. It reminded her of Evelyn's lantern, but something about it felt off against her better judgment. Anna followed it each step, sinking into the damp earth. Her heart pounded as the light led her to an old cabin nestled among the trees, a place she had never seen before. The door was slightly ajar, and faint light seeped through the cirque. "Cracks, Anna." She pushed the door open, her flashlight sweeping across the dusty interior. The air was thick with the scent of decay. In the center of the room, a small wooden box rested on a table, accompanied by a photograph lying face down. She picked it up, her hands trembling. When she flipped it over, her breath caught. It was a picture of her and Stellan, but her eyes in the photograph were hollow, lifeless. Scrawled on the back of the photo were the words, "Keep searching if you dare to face the truth behind her." A floorboard creaked. Anna spun around her flashlight flickering before plunging her into darkness. A cold hand gripped her shoulder, and a familiar voice whispered in her ear, "Anna, you've gone too far." She froze her body, paralyzed with fear. The voice belonged to Lucas, but the calm, knowing, and terrifying tone revealed that the man she thought she knew was a stranger all along. In the suffocating darkness, Anna felt her breath hitch as Lucas's voice sent a chill through her entire being. He was right behind her, yet there was no comfort to be found. His presence sent her heart racing, pounding violently, as if it might burst from her chest. Lucas stepped closer, his face illuminated by the faint glow spilling from the old wooden house. In that dim light, he appeared unfamiliar, cold and menacing. "What are you doing here?" Anna stammered, her voice trembling, stripped of the confidence she usually exuded. Lucas didn't respond immediately. He simply stared at her, his piercing eyes as deep and consuming as a black hole, swallowing every question she had. In that moment, Anna understood that she had never truly known him. A faint smile flickered across his face, yet it was hollow, lacking any trace of warmth. "You believe you've discovered the truth, don't you?" Lucas finally spoke, his voice unnervingly. Calm. Too calm, a calm that sent chills coursing through her veins. "The letters, the photos, all those little breadcrumbs you've been following, they're merely the tip of the iceberg." "What do you mean, where's Clara?" "What did you do to her?" Anna's voice rose trembling with fear and desperation. She could no longer contain herself. Everything she had unearthed surged forth, demanding to be acknowledged. Fragments of Lucas's past and Clara's warnings were pieces of a puzzle she wasn't sure she wanted to see completed. Lucas took another step forward, his imposing presence forcing her back. "Clara." He drew out the name, savoring it, as though it were a forbidden word. "She chose the wrong path, Anna. She thought she could run, that she could escape all of this. But no one escapes, not her, not you, not Anna." Instinctively, she retreated her back, hitting the edge of the old wooden table papers, scattering to the floor. Among them lay the peculiar photograph she had collected earlier. "What are you talking about? Lucas escaped from what? What did you do to Clara?" Her voice trembled, caught in a tumult of anger and dread. Lucas hesitated, bending down to retrieve the photo. He examined it intently, his expression inscrutable, before finally meeting Anna's gaze. "Clara was a strong woman," he said. But she didn't understand. She didn't grasp that Stellan isn't merely a horse. He's the key. And now you're repeating the same error she made. Anna's voice trembled as she grappled with his words. "What are you hiding, Lucas? Evelyn was right, wasn't she? You hurt Clara because she discovered too much." In a flash, Anna dashed toward the bar, the icy key clutched so tightly in her hand that its edges dug into her palm. The howling wind roared around her, an unsettling warning that sent shivers down her spine, yet she pressed on. Her thoughts whirled with fragments of Lucas Evelyn and their enigmatic words merging into a tempest of unresolved questions. Stellan harbored a secret one so potent that it had driven Lucas and Evelyn to the edge of desperation, compelled to either safeguard or dominate it. But what was this enigma? As Anna approached the barn, the faint glow of the lanterns swaying outside intensified the heavy atmosphere. The barn door creaked slightly in the wind, and within silence reigned pierced only by the rapid thumping of her heart. She pushed the door open and entered, casting the beam of her flashlight across the shadowy expanse. The barn lay empty. Stellan had vanished. Her chest tightened as panic gripped her. She spun in place, her eyes darting around for any sign of him. A sudden gust slammed the barn door against the wall with a loud bang, making her jump. The flashlight beam, landed on a corner of the barn, where something glinted faintly beneath a pile of straw, a small wooden box. Anna rushed over her hands, trembling as she pulled it free. The key in her hand fit perfectly into the lock with a soft click. The lid lifted, revealing a stack of yellow documents and a faded. She picked up the photograph, her breath hitching. It depicted Clara Lucas and Evelyn standing before a large black horse named Stellin. Yet it wasn't the image that rattled her. It was the inscription scrawled on the back. Stellin is not just a horse. He is everything that remains. Protect him, or we will all lose everything. Anna flipped through the papers, Clara's journal entries. The ink was faded but still legible. As she skimmed the pages, her hand trembled, revealing a narrative far darker than she had anticipated. Than she had imagined. Clara had penned her thoughts on Lucas, detailing their relationship and his transformation into someone controlling and frightening. Yet it was the final note that left Anna frozen. Lucas won't stop. He believes Stellin is the key to reversing everything. But Stellin doesn't belong to him or to me. If I vanish, find Stellin. He will guide you. Before Anna could fully grasp the weight of Clara's words, a sound behind her caused her to whirl around. Her flashlight flickered to life, revealing Lucas in the doorway, half of his face shrouded in shadow. In the dim light, one half of his face was shadowed, while the other radiated a chilling determination. His eyes sparkled with a perilous blend of fury and resolve. "You shouldn't have opened that box, Anna," he said, his voice low and thick with menace. "You don't understand what you're getting yourself into." Anna pressed the box tightly against her chest, her voice quaking yet defiant. "What did you do to Clara and Stellin? What are you hiding?" Lucas advanced, his gaze steady and unyielding. Clara believed she could escape the truth. She thought she could. Take Stellin and leave, but she was wrong, just as you are now. Before Lucas could utter another word, a sharp cry erupted from behind him. Evelyn stormed into the barn, wielding a wooden staff, her face alight with fury. "Stop, Lucas, it's over," she shouted, her voice trembling with anger, yet steady with conviction. Lucas turned to face her, a sneer curling his lips. "Evelyn," he said mockingly, "still the ever-loyal protector. But you know as well as I do that you can't stop me. Clara couldn't, and neither can you." Evelyn didn't flinch. Instead, she reached into her pocket and flung a small key toward Anna. "Anna, go find Stellan. He's the answer. Don't listen to him." Anna caught the key, but her legs felt as if they were anchored to the ground. Her voice trembled with desperation as she shouted, "What are you both hiding from me? What is Stellan? What happened to Clara?" Lucas lunged toward Evelyn, but she was prepared. She swung the staff, blocking his advance, yet his strength overwhelmed her, sending her crashing to the ground with a heavy thud. Before he could make another move, the barn erupted with a deafening, piercing whinny. Stellan burst into the barn, a forceful presence that sent tremors through the ground. His dark eyes ignited in the shadows, locking onto his target.